Thank you for joining us for the 2023 Florida Nurses Association Grassroots Training. My name is Erin Ballas. I'm the Vice President of Public Affairs Consultants, and I'm going to walk you through what grassroots is, advocacy, and then some important information about the legislature. Why is it important to be involved with advocacy? Well, legislators are elected to represent their constituents, but unfortunately, they're not mind readers. So if you don't meet with your legislator, they don't know what's important to you. They respect your profession, and they want to hear from nurses just like you who are part of the FNA on how they can make life better for you in the state of Florida. Unfortunately, advocacy is not one day or one time event. It takes 12 months a year to create relationships with your legislators, and it's important that you work just a little bit each month to develop those relationships. So first, you need to figure out who's your legislator. You can follow these links, either the floridanurses.org page with the Find My Legislator app. You can go to the floridasenate.gov and find your senators there, or to the myfloridahouse.gov. You simply type in your address and it'll produce your local elected state house and senators, as well as other elected officials. For the Florida Nurses Association Grassroots Program, we want you to know your state legislator. So that means your state senator or your state representative. While it is important to know who your U.S. senator is or your U.S. congressman or woman is, your county commissioners and your city council members, right now we need you to focus on your state senator and your state representative. So if you want to learn more before you reach out to your members and who they are when they represent you in Tallahassee, you can learn all about them by going to myfloridahouse.gov or the floridasenate.gov. There they'll have listings of anywhere from where they went to school, their hobbies, if they're married, what awards they have, their children, all kinds of information. Anything you can think of, and it gives you an opportunity to find new connections to them. So how to connect with your legislator? First, you can reach out in an email. Make sure that you copy their aide and just simply reach out and say, hello. You can meet in person or virtually with the members. As they begin session, there'll be a lot more travel for them, so it might be best for them to meet virtually with you prior to you coming to Tallahassee. You can attend a delegation meeting in your county, and you can follow them on social media, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, basically any of them. So when should you contact your legislator? We suggest reaching out to them at least 4 times a year via email. First, you can reach out to them right now, wishing them Happy New Year, wishing them a successful legislative session as they begin committee weeks. Then during the legislative session, as directed by the Florida Nurses Association, letting them know when maybe a priority vote is coming up or some issues are coming in front of them that they should know about. After session, sending them a thank you email. And then around the holidays or their birthdays, reaching out to them. But what should I say? First, you're going to let them know where you live in their district, what your profession is, what type of nurse you are. You're a member of the Florida Nurses Association, and then maybe some issues that we're going to outline in the one-pager. So asking them to either support, oppose, or change something related to your line of work. But what should I talk to them about? Great question. Luckily, the 2022-2023 legislative platform is all ready for you on the floridanurses.org website under advocacy. You can see your platform and policies, and these are the issues you're going to talk to legislators about. As bills related to these issues pop up, the one-pager will be updated and you can share it with the legislator again. So here are some 10 commandments that we're going to go over when you talk to a legislator. First, you're not going to lie. You shouldn't lie every day, but you definitely shouldn't lie to your legislator. You're going to say thank you to a legislator for their help. You want to let them know that you appreciate all that they're doing. You're not going to ignore the legislator or not talk to them when it's not session. You're not going to be critical of a legislator on how they vote on any bill. We want to recognize that sometimes choices have to be made and that legislators aren't always going to agree with us. You're not going to hesitate to praise a legislator when they do something well, and you're going to do it publicly. So on social media platforms, recognizing them, letting them know how much you appreciate their vote is definitely a great way to cultivate a good relationship with your member. You're not going to insist that legislator their party policy. So sometimes they're not going to be with us on an issue, but that doesn't mean that they don't support us in other aspects of our platform. We're not going to fail to recognize how important it is when you're in a legislator's office. So while they are people just like us, you still will show respect when you meet with them and when you talk to them. You're not going to forget that a legislator also has problems and also has issues, and that sometimes they need help. So giving them some grace if they have to change meetings or move on or do certain things, grace is always important. We're not going to become completely partisan when meeting with members. So if you have, whether you have Republicans or Democrats representing you, you're going to meet with them and discuss your issues. We're not going to be nitpicky about tiny little things. So these are some great visuals of some meetings with legislators that some members of the Florida Nurses Association have been on, meeting with them to discuss issues and thanking them for the hard work they have done in Tallahassee. So you've done your grassroots, but now what? Here are some important session dates that are coming up. We just had a interim committee meeting week. This is when they do most of the work leading into session. So they'll discuss bills, they'll discuss issues, they'll discuss the budget and get everything ready for session, which is 60 days. What you will probably see and have already seen is that some of these committee weeks will also include special sessions. We just had one on property insurance. There are some anticipated additional ones. In addition to that, there's also an extra committee week. We normally only have 6 committee weeks, but this year they've decided to have 7. So these are the committee weeks that are coming up. Regular session begins March 7th. And then the last day of regular session, should they finish all of their work, is May 5th. So what does session mean? The Florida legislature meets in session every year for 60 consecutive days. That includes the weekends. A regular session of the legislature shall convene on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in March. So that's this year on odd years. And then even number years, they meet on the second Tuesday after the first Monday in January. There are other ways the legislature can be convened. Much like you saw, they can call a special session, which can either be called by the governor or by a joint proclamation between the Senate president and the House speaker. They can also make a motion to extend regular session or a special session, and that requires 3/5 vote of each of the chambers. So bills filed, and now what? There are several types of bills. The first bill is called a SB, that stands for a Senate bill. They're filed by senators. They can file as many as they want. That's why some senators will have quite a few, and some will only have one or two, depending on how they feel this legislative session. House bill, HB stands for a House bill. They're filed by representatives. They can only file 7 of these bills. But they can file as many appropriations requests as they desire. In the past, they used to have to file appropriations bills. They no longer have to do that under Speaker Renner. A PCB stands for a proposed committee bill and can be filed by any of the committees in the House or the Senate with the approval of the Speaker of the House or the President of the Senate. These bills are often quite long and expansive, and they normally will include smaller bills that have been filed by members, and they're put into what's called an omnibus bill or a larger bill to move through the session. A committee bill tends to be a priority of either the speaker or the president, and are often a way to put together a lot of work in one bill. So here's a super easy depiction of how a bill becomes a law. A representative introduces the bill goes to drafting. A bill then gets numbered and filed. It has a first reading of the bill, and it must be read 3 times. Usually a bill first is read by a publication in the journal. So the bill is referred by the speaker to the committee, the subcommittees, or the calendar of the House. Then the committees hear it and the bill moves through the process. Once the bill is heard favorably in all of its committees of reference. It's placed on the House calendar. It can sit on the House calendar for as long as necessary. And then once the bill is added to the special order calendar, it can be read a second time in the chamber. Once it's read a second time in the chamber, it allows for the legislators to have any questions or continue to amend the bill. Then the bill is rolled over to third reading. After the bill has been read a third time, it's debated on and voted on in the chamber. The bill then goes to the other house, so it'll go to the Senate. It follows the same path, has to be amended in committees, can be amended on the floor. It's voted on the floor, and it can be enrolled and sent to the governor. The governor can sign it and can become law. So this year, we have something that hasn't happened in quite a few years, where both the House and the Senate have what's called a supermajority. So that means that the House and the Senate each have one party that has over 2/3 of the vote on the chamber floor. So the Senate breakdown is right now, it currently has 28 Republicans and 12 Democrats. And then the House has 85 Republicans and 35 Democrats. A supermajority, or a 2/3 vote, means something pretty important. It means that by a 2/3 vote, the chamber can override certain rules that have been put in place. So it can make a 2/3 vote to reconsider a bill they passed that day. This allows lawmakers to further amend such a bill. It can pass public records or public meeting exemptions by 2/3 vote. It can limit debate by 2/3 vote. It can also eliminate the need to read a bill on 3 separate days before passing it. It can immediately add a bill to a special order calendar for consideration. It can also amend a bill on third reading just before final passage, or take up a late filed amendment that would otherwise have been blocked. So those are things that you normally don't do unless you have a 2/3 vote. Additionally, a 2/3 vote means that they can waive any of the chamber rules that they currently have in place. This gives the majority pretty much absolute power and removes the ability of the minority party to do any procedural stalling tactics that are often used on the House or Senate floor. So pop quiz. Here's some of the questions. What is the makeup of the 2 chambers this year? And how many Ds and how many Rs? How many make a supermajority? What can a supermajority do? When does session start? And when does session end? So, time to check your answers. First, what makes up a supermajority? What is the makeup of the 2 chambers this year? And who makes up the majority? The House and Senate both have supermajorities, and this year it's the Republicans that control both chambers. How many make up a supermajority? 2/3 of the members of each of the chambers. What can a supermajority do? They can override procedures, including all of the chamber's rules. When does session start? March 7th at noon. And when does it end? May 5th, time undetermined. Thank you so much for taking the time to take this grassroots training. If you have any more questions or if you need any more information, my contact information, as well as Jack and Kina Corey's, is on this page. We're here for any question to help with any issues you might have. We look forward to seeing you in Tallahassee, and we look forward to hearing about all of your grassroots advocacy that you have done locally in your community. Thank you.